and then we will get started. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. And while we're kind of waiting for people to file in, I would love to know what your human design type is and what you're really hoping to get out of today's masterclass. We're going to be talking, we're geeking out on human design today, guys. Like, I hope you love human design because we're geeking out on it. We're going into type. We're going into your throat center and your throat activations, along with Mercury Gate as well. So super, super excited. Yay. Thank you, Jill. Yeah. So since I do not have an assistant, I'm going to do my best to keep up with the chat and try and answer things as we go, because that does, I found, make more sense if I can answer questions as we go versus doing it at the end. There'll definitely be time to ask questions at the end as well. But I will doing my best. All right. Starlin, emotional manifester. Make it more clear. Yeah. So today is really focused on your brand voice, your unique selling point. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about offer and how to clarify offer language. And then Friday, we're going to be talking about content. Dawn, projector, Jill's a projector. Love it. Manifester. Hoping to grow, get new outside the box ideas. I love that. You're all about being outside the box as a manifester. Splenic projector. Sweet. Love it. If you have your charts available, it'll be really helpful. Manny Jen, mental projector generator. Yay. Your chart will be helpful when we get to the throat center, because I have information on whether or not you're defined or undefined, what channels, the gates, all that fun stuff. So operating, we'll save it. Sweet. Love it. Yay. I'm so excited you're all here. Okay. All right. I think we'll get started. And I'm just going to try and keep up with everything. Go. Oh, does everybody have the workbook that I sent out in the email? Sweet. Where's my chat? My chat went away. There it is. Sorry, I'm just trying to get everything set up so I can see everything. Okay, sweet. Still getting people coming in. Great. All right. Well, let's just dive in. All right. So these are the questions that I see a lot of people having when it comes to messaging. When our messaging isn't clear, these are the questions that start to come up. How can I create more valuable content? How do I attract those dreamy clients? How do I gain followers? How do I create offers that people love, right? How do I write emails that are exciting and make people want to open them? And how do I stand out from that sea of people? And what I've noticed and what I freaking preach and love all about is the old way of doing things in kind of cookie cutter messaging, pain points, desires, all of that stuff. That is the old way of doing it. And so many of us as entrepreneurs, we are purpose driven. We are here to do something of service for someone else. We are here to share our gifts with the world. And if we're trying to fit that into a box of what someone else says is good messaging, it feels constrictive. It feels like you are trying to shove your whole essence into a box, and we're not designed to do that. We're not designed to be in a box. And human design shows us how we can express ourselves the way that it feels authentic to us, that feels right for us, but also attracts those people that we want, those dreamy clients. It allows us to be our authentic selves and have the business that we want. So that's why, like, I just go on and on and on. Oh, a reflector. Beautiful. I love it. So you're in the right place if you're struggling to convey your work. or you've tried other messaging courses and they haven't really helped. They've left you more confused. There's lots of parts to messaging, and understanding how they all work together is confusing. It can be a lot. And I really want to kind of simplify that for you today. You want to attract those dreamy clients that hire you on the spot. You want that impact of doing what you love, right? And primarily, if you're a coach, course creator, online service provider, those are the people that I love working with, that I definitely help. Okay, if you haven't met me, if you're new in my world, I'm Rachel, and I'm a 4/6 sacral mani-gen, and blending human design and copywriting for service-based people to really attract those dreamy clients and impact their clients with the most authentic message. Can I talk? I have been doing copywriting for about 4 years now. I started to bring in the human design aspects 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. I feel like COVID was a time warp. If anyone else feels like that, like how many years have passed since COVID happened? It was about COVID. It's when it happened. And I started bringing it in and really understanding how we can use the human design chart in messaging while still being clear, while still really understanding what our ideal clients need from us, to understand what our offer is and to sign up for it. So it's been a few years of really blending those two together and understanding how they work together. And I freaking love it. I think it's honestly the only way to write copy, if I'm being honest. Here's the lineup for the next 3 days. Today, we're talking about your aura type, which corresponds to your unique selling position, your throat center, which is really your brand voice, how you want to express yourself, and Mercury gate, which is mission energy. It's the intention behind your message. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about aligned offer. What does that mean? How do we actually have an offer that people want? Create magnetism around it, and identifying what our ideal clients need to know, and so that they actually want to sign up for your offer. And day 3, we're understanding your profile and how to write more magnetic content and creating that vortex of influence is what I like to call it. But it's really putting content out there that's not just one and done and it's gone, but how do we really create a vortex of influence around it? This is the messaging map. And this is like the backbone of everything that I do. And it's what the Magnetic Messaging Club is all about. And the thing that I've found with people coming into my world, they don't understand where they even need to start oftentimes. They're like, do I start with a sales page? Is my offer, is it my USP, unique selling point? Like, where do I even begin, right? And so I created this yes/no tree that really shows you where you need to start. And today we're going to be up in here in this understanding human design and your unique selling point. So, and it's not even, I say, do you understand your human design? It's more about, do you understand your unique energy? Do you understand who you are in a way that you're not afraid to be visible with, right? If you're still understanding how to express yourself and there's like blocks, and what I mean by this is like, if you're afraid to talk about what you really want to talk about, there's deconditioning work to do. That's up in here in the human design aspects. Okay. Your unique selling point is really who you are and how your energy works. So this is where we're up today. Tomorrow, we're going to be down here. If you know who you are, you know what your unique selling point is, then we come down to, are you obsessed with your offer? And again, with so many entrepreneurs that are purpose-driven, we have to be excited about our offer. We have to be like lit up about our offers. I know that when I'm creating an offer from, oh, I should create this, or maybe this will work and maybe somebody will buy this, I'm not excited about selling it. And therefore I'm not actually ever talking about it ever. Right? I'll maybe put 2 posts out, but then it doesn't sell. And then you wonder if it's messaging, is it you, right? It's because you're not lit up about the offer. We need to be lit up. really excited and positioning it in a way that is an obvious yes to our dreamy clients. That's tomorrow. Then on Friday, we're going down here. So if we've got this offer that we absolutely love, then we come down into the sales pages, all of these other things. So most times people come in and they're like, well, I need to work on content or I need to work on my website. But if you don't have these other things in place, it's going to be really hard to figure out what your authentic message, what your authentic way of expressing yourself is down here, because you're automatically influenced by everyone else around you and what they're doing. We need to start first with understanding who we are, what our core message is, what we're meant to be talking about in the world, what our obsessed offer is, offer ladder even. And then we can come down here and translate it into all of these things, like writing your website, things like that. Okay. All right. Let's get into the core message and the USP. And I should say that the club goes into all of this stuff. So if you're struggling at any point in this tree, the club answers all of the questions. Like we go into all of this. Okay. Your core message, your unique selling point is what you're known for. It's the one thing that someone says, hey, what do? You can say, oh, I do X, Y, Z. Or I think of it like when you go networking and they're always like, what is the one thing that people can remember you by? That's your unique selling point, right? Human design and messaging, the two things that I bring together. As a many-gen, you're going to learn that many-gens bring things together to allow people to skip steps. So this is really, really important to understand, because if you don't know what your unique selling point is, you get stuck in offer messaging. And if you decide to change your offer, then you kind of blow up the whole thing, right? If you don't have a unique selling point, there's nothing to anchor anything to, right? If it's just selling an offer, you're like out there, well, I can offer this. And what if I change my mind? And what if it's not working? Or there's nothing to anchor it to. Does that make sense? This largely stays the same. No matter how many pivots you make. I have made a buttload of pivots in the last 2.5, 3 years, but it's always been about human design and messaging. And pivots, I mean, changing my offers, changing how I want to structure my business, like all the things. But by and large, it has always been about human design and messaging. Without aligning our unique selling point, we just fall into this trap of shiny objects, jumping from strategy to strategy. That's something else that I've noticed, that if someone doesn't have this unique selling point on lock, then they're kind of like, well, maybe I should do low ticket offers and go down that path of strategy, or maybe I should sell high ticket. And they kind of bounce around without really any intention and an understanding of what they actually want to create. Your unique selling point can be that anchor. Okay. That's why it's important. Okay. So here's where we get into the 5 different types. And we're going to talk about each type and how you can structure your message. And so I want you to start thinking about your work, your business, and how you can structure your unique selling point based on your type. So manifestors, you are all about this big vision and where you're taking people, right? And it's really important that you have that vision of where you're taking people. I like to equate it to train stations, and you don't necessarily have a process, although you may. Some manifestors don't, though. They just have these different stations along the way to the big vision. Each train station gets their clients closer to that big vision. And the example I love to use is an old coach of mine. She's a manifestor, and her vision was the part-time CEO. So earning a full-time income from a part-time business, and how she did that. So each train station offer was getting people closer to earning that CEO income from part-time hours, right? So identify what your big vision is. A lot of times it's something that it's outside the box, right? It's pushing the envelope on your niche, on your like genre that you want to work in. And it's doing something that people have previously thought was like, no way, like you can't do that. And manifestors are like, oh yeah, watch me, right? What is that bold vision for you? And you can use bold statements too, really bring it to life, like use bold, big, like audacious kind of language. You're going to do things your own way in marketing. And this is also really important that you can learn from someone else's marketing strategy, but ultimately you are going to decide and put yourself in the driver's seat of, well, what do I want to do? How do I want to show up? How do I want to market this offer or this vision, right? You don't have to niche your big vision. I want you to remember that too. You don't have to niche the vision, but these core train station offers do need to be niched. That way people know what train station to get on the train at, which one do I jump in and get on? Those need to know exactly who it's for, what they're struggling with, what they're going to get out of it, right? And the other thing I want to say is like, you don't have to be at the end at this vision just yet. You just have to be like 1 or 2 stations further than everyone else, than the people you're teaching. Okay. Generators of the group. You are this like hero's journey story. So Brand Story, I have read his book. And I've understood like what he's getting at. And I think it works really, really well for generators. They're the ones that are taking people on this hero's journey through a repeatable process, right? You're here to really hone in on a method and a process that's like mastered over time. You're honing it, right? So understanding what your process is that you're mastering and understanding, then mastering it, right? That's what you're going to become known for, is that process. Name it, put some like trademark on the name of it, that kind of thing. Okay. So the another piece is making it conversational. So generators and mani-gens, we love to respond, right? We love asking questions. How can you, in your content, sales pages, like all the things, how can you make things more conversational and asking yes or no questions throughout your copy? I like to ask questions at the beginning of a content post, and then even along the way. Hey, Cheryl. Yeah, and asking questions throughout, like, does this resonate with you? Or have you ever thought that thought, or stuff like that, where they may not answer it to you directly, but they're answering it in their head, right? And that's what we want. We want them to be having a conversation with us throughout the content. Generators, I would love for you to niche, to think about this process and who do you want to serve in this process? Who is going to benefit the most from this process and the solution that you're providing? Okay. The other thing with generators is understanding that you are responding to your environment. And if you're new to human design, not creating necessarily from your ideas. And we'll get into this in the offer messaging stuff, but creating something from just like, I had a download and I'm going to go and create it, can be problematic in the beginning for generators, only because they don't necessarily sense the difference between their intuition and their ego or open head, or the ego self telling them what they should do. Because the sacral will respond to things, but it's anytime you hear, I should create this, I have to, that's not actually the sacral talking. And it's not actually what you are meant to do or aligned to do. So really understanding that in the beginning, until you can tell the difference between your own intuition and your ego, then not creating ideas from your head, or not going off and trying to make things happen, right? We're going to just hold off. I don't like to say it's not going to happen. I just say, like, let's just pause and see what comes to you. Like put it out to the universe, be like, I think this might be a good idea. Like show me a sign that this is a good direction to go, and wait for something to kind of come into fruition. I know that I have done this multiple times where I just pause. I'm like, I think I want to do a passive income or something like that, and waiting for something to show up in my environment, and inevitably something does. And I'm able then to go, ooh, is that what I want to do? And then you can respond to it. Okay. And you're taking your clients on this hero's journey. Okay. What does responding to your environment? Responding to your environment means that you're responding to anything outside of yourself. So it could be someone else's social media post. It could be an ad. It could be someone saying something to you. It's outside of you. That's responding to your environment, the things that are circulating around you. Does that make sense? So you're marketing to your type. In essence, Christina, yes, you're marketing with your aura type. We're formulating your unique selling point, your core message. Manifestors is the big vision. Generators is this repeatable process. This is what you're going to be known for, right? And when we understand what our core message is, we're able to then create our offers around that. And it makes sense. It starts to create consistency with your messaging and consistency with your brand. And when you have consistency, especially over 6 months, a year or longer, you start to create authority. You start to create momentum around, ooh, that's what she does. I understand what she does. It can happen faster. It definitely happens faster when you're out there talking about things. But this is when you create a core message around your human design type, you're creating consistency throughout your business. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm going to keep going. Many gens. You're similar to the generators, more so than the manifestors, but it's really about different things that you're combining. So many, I found generators definitely will dive into different things as well, but they're almost on a hunt for their own mastery, right? They're on the hunt to find the thing that they love and will go all in on, right? Manifesting generators are a little bit more, we still jump in and master things, but we're going down rabbit holes all the time, right? We cannot not go down the rabbit hole. So thinking about all these different things that you love, all these different passions, what are a couple of things that you can put together that really make you go, oh, well, this allows you to skip a step or do something faster or in a different, unique way. That's what the many gens do. They bring things together that no one else is putting together. That makes sense. Targets sacral response. Yep, exactly. So what are these things? And you don't have to bring all of your passions. I think that's something else people many gens get confused on. Do I have to bring in every passion that I have? No, it's just the ones that make sense to you to bring together to allow people to skip steps, right? I have lots of passions. Like I love design. I love, we have a fixer upper house. I love fixing up our house and doing design. I love photography. But those didn't make sense with what I loved human design and messaging together. Those two made sense to me. And I was like, this is something that I can bring to the world that's different. That's what I want to do. Okay. So how are you bringing those things together? And it could be 2 or 3, maybe 4 things. Kind of depends. Okay. And from those things that you bring together, you're then creating a repeatable process within that. So that's the generator part, right? So within these things that you're bringing together, you create a repeatable process that people are able to walk through, right? That's where the messaging strategy came in, that whole little map of understanding how to bring these things together and get the thing that you want faster. You're also making your writing conversational. Again, asking questions, putting how is this resonating? Are you following? Have you felt that way? Like you're having a conversation with a friend. Again, especially for many gens that love to jump in a little too fast. Making sure that you pause for a moment and go, is this actually what I want to do? Right. And giving yourself to the freedom and the guilt-free freedom. There we go. Of if you jump into something and it felt like a sacral yes, and then you get into it and you're like, and I don't want to do this anymore. And you back out and you come back. Like, give yourself the permission to do that. It's okay to jump down that rabbit hole, learn a little something, and realize that it's not for you. I've done that a lot. Drives my husband crazy. Okay. And then thinking about what is that repeatable process within the things that you combine. Projectors, beautiful projectors. Your core messaging is about your system, a signature system that will solve a problem. Oftentimes, it is something you have already done in your own life. Sometimes it can be a system that's already out there, like human design, and you go in and you are just master and understand human design on a whole nother level, right? Or it can be creating your own system, somewhat like the many gen and bringing different things in. Dawn, you have mastered your system, Dawn. The difference between a system and a method, this is a question I get a lot, the difference between a system and a method. A method is step 1, step 2, step 3. You got to do them in order to get the thing. A system is more like a tabletop and legs. So if you have a table with 3 legs, your system is this table, right? The result is the tabletop. And if you take one leg out, your table is wobbly, right? You have to have all 3 legs, but you don't have to do them in a specific order. They all kind of intertwine. They go back and forth, and maybe you'll do this, and maybe you'll do this leg, and maybe you'll have a little bit of this leg. Oh, incorporating human design and hypnotherapy. Yeah, you can, within your system, you can make your own system that has human design and hypnotherapy in it, for sure. It's your own thing. The big piece of it is it's coming from your unique way of seeing things. Like, you see how to solve this problem in a really unique way. The other piece of projectors is I love having you guys be a little bit secretive in your copy, because you inherently want people to invite you, right? And a lot of times projectors go out and they're like, see me, I'm doing great things. Like, come invite me. And it puts a little bit of a pressure out there instead of showing up and being like, I know my shit. I know I'm really good at this. Do you want help with that problem? I solve it in my thing over here. Do you want in? It's coming with this. I have this solution. Do you want it? I see you struggling with XYZ. I've created a solution for you. Would you like to know more? And then they can come in, right? That's when they can throw up their hands and be like, yes, please help me, right? It's opening the door instead of coming out with like, you need to fix things. You need to fix that. This is why you're not getting what you want. This is why it's not working, right? Can you feel the difference? So it's building curiosity with your content. Like, what is she doing? I want to know, how does she fix this problem? And then niching can also be really, really helpful as a projector. Most projectors that I meet want to be super broad. They're really worried about missing all the people on the fringe. But I can tell you and guarantee you that if you niche to a specific person that's struggling with XYZ and creating offers around that and helping them, you will see so much more momentum towards your goals and growing your business. Cool. Yay. Yes, agree. Cool. All right. Reflectors, my one reflector here. Your core message is about building a community that feels expansive. Like, so much of your environment is so, so important to you and inspires you. So creating a community that inspires you and allows you to just share your wisdom when it comes up, right? When you can just unabashedly share, hey, this is what I'm seeing going on. And those are the people that really want your wisdom, right? It's creating that community around change that you want for the world. So what community are you building? How do you want that to look? Again, it can be any way that you want. It can be around something as strategic as like an email community, or maybe it's a Facebook community, or maybe it's a membership, right? It's allowing whatever structure allows you to share unapologetically. Definitely having that solid self-care routine, which you probably already know, and allowing yourself to have as much space as you need, and creating the structure around your business so that you can step back if you want to step back, and you don't have to show up all the time, right? Sharing your wisdom that you see. And the other piece is being fluid in your offers and allowing like your offers to come and go as you feel they need to come and go, right? And maybe it's creating something live that then goes evergreen and doesn't need your time, right? Allowing whatever offers are feeling the need to come out, if that makes sense. Am I making sense? Okay. As a reflector, your messaging is so much more influenced by the gates that you have, like your Mercury gate, your hanging gates in your throat, as well as your sun gate. So the more nuanced, that's where you're going to find like your big pieces. So when we get to the throat part of it, look at the hanging gates that you have. That'll also help. Okay. Secretive, Christina. It's kind of creating, then it's, I'll talk about that too. Okay. So the secretive part with being a projector is creating like, it's not super secretive. It's saying, I see you struggling with this problem, or I see that you want this, but you haven't been able to get past this. I've been able to get past that. I've been able to work through that. Would you want to know how I did it? Would you want to know the solution to the problem? Creating curiosity. Yeah. Oh, MG. Yeah. So you're asking that question, like, you have this problem and I have a solution. Do you want to know what it is? And it's just a simple question. And it opens the door for them to say yes. So even in like a content post, if you think about say a social media post, and it's like, I'm seeing my clients struggling with this, and I struggled with it too, and saying, but I found a way out of it. Would you want to know what that is? And then you can go into telling them what it is, even in that post. It's just asking that question to get, so that it softens they have said yes to you and wanting to hear the solution. And it doesn't feel like you're pointing the finger at them saying, this is the solution. Does that make sense? It's creating a little bit more curiosity. Okay. Yeah, good. Okay. Any other questions on that? Because we will move on to throat. Throat's a big one too. Throat center 134. Okay. Throat activations are how our authentic message, our most magnetic message, want to be expressed. And every combination is magnetic, no matter what it is. I want you to know that. Whatever anyone says is not magnetic is bullshit. Every throat combination is. So like inviting them in to invite you in, kind of. Yeah. Yeah. You're saying, do you want the solution? Yes, I do want the solution. Great. Here it is. Okay. And we're going to start with the undefined throats, because I see so many undefined throats feeling like they can't be heard, that they are just lost in the back of the classroom. No one knows they're there. That's not at all. The undefined throat can actually be even more magnetic I guess, if you want to be in a scale, I don't know, than somebody with a defined throat. Why? Because you are like a chameleon. When you deeply listen to people, you can reflect back to them and make them feel seen and understood. And that is all we ever want, right? When you think about psychology and human beings as in general, we just want to be understood. We want to be seen and heard. And that is what the undefined throat does. When you trust it, when you release the pressure that you have to say something or that you won't be heard. I feel like my husband is really good at being an undefined throat. He's a projector, but he is such an incredible listener. He will just sit there and listen and go and like nod his head in acknowledgement that he's listening. And then sometimes like he doesn't even have to say anything. I just feel like, yeah, you see me, you understand me, right? That's all I need sometimes, right? And then depending on which gates you have activated, those hanging gates, and who you're around, your voice changes a little bit, right? So you can use your hanging gates to kind of activate. But if you're around someone else, that could activate something else within you. So just knowing that, again, you don't have to know what everyone's chart is, but understanding that if you feel like you want to talk about I want to talk about a story and an experience that I had today, where yesterday you didn't even have access to that. It didn't even come on your radar, right? That's what I want you to start to play with and understand and start to notice about your own design, is that your voice is going to kind of change a little bit based on who you're around and what you're feeling activated with today in that moment. Touch on the difference between defined and undefined. Oh, yes. Thank you, Cheryl. Okay. So the defined is colored in, and it's the third one down. So if you look at this little human detritus, you got the head up here, the ajna, and then the throat. It's the square. If it's defined, it's colored in, and we will get to you. You have a channel to your throat. The undefined are the white people, the white ones. It's not. There is no channel. Sorry. There is no channel to your throat. There's only hanging gates. And a hanging gate is just simply, one of the numbers is highlighted, but then like the line coming off of it ends. It's hanging. It's like, it doesn't connect to another center. Okay. When you say your voice changed, do you mean the brand voice, tone voice, or intensity? It can be all of the above. It's more of what you feel like you want to talk about. So when we get to the defined, you'll see that some people really like to talk about stories. Some really like to talk about their ideas. Some like to talk about who they are and just being themselves, right? It depends. Those are consistent, the consistent channels. And your voice is kind of change based on what's going on around you. So maybe one day you feel like talking about your experience. Maybe the next day it's more about your ideas and what's coming through that. Okay. So your throat is how you want to express your message. So if we take an example of a manifester and their big vision, well, no, because they wouldn't be undefined. Never mind. Let's take a generator. Take a generator, because you may not have your throat defined. If you're a generator and you have this unique method, some days it may be talking about how you came about from your own experience. And then maybe another day, based on who you're around or what's happening, is going to feel more like, I want to talk about the idea of it and how I pull all these different things together. Does that make sense? And does the stuff about undefined throat also apply to completely? Yes, it does. Yes. And when you are completely open, then it's again looking at the transits for you as a reflector and just seeing it's intuitive too. So you don't necessarily have to know what these things are happening. It's more of like, how do I feel? How do I want to express today? What wants to come through for me today? And releasing the pressure to say anything, knowing that you have to trust as an open throat that what you say is exactly what needs to be said. That's the struggle, I think, for most open throat people, is that they don't trust what they're saying. So trusting what you have to say and then going, how do I want to express today? What am I hearing from my people that I could reflect back to them? On sales pages and things like that, it's really important to reflect back what you're hearing from people in their words. It's actually why I think a lot of copywriters are open throats. I heard that somewhere. Like, oh, that makes sense, because they can then take on the voice of other people. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so if we look at the hanging gates off of listening more, definitely listening more. If we look at the hanging gates, I don't want to get too far into this again, because this is like a whole thing. I get a lot more deep into this inside the club. So if this is something that you're like, oh, I really want to understand how to do this more, the club is the place to be. So gate 23, we can go through each one of these, but it's basically saying like, I know. So if someone came, or if you're listening to what they have to say, and you go, I know that I've felt that way too. Or I know that when I do this, and I'm not saying that you have to use these little phrases all over the place. It's a lot of I, right? In copywriting, they say, don't use the word I. I'm not saying you have to use this all the time. I'm not, but it's one way to start to play with how you want to express yourself, is looking at each one of these that you have hanging. If you have a defined throat, you can still have hanging gates, and they are less important than your channel. So we'll get into that on the defined. So you have a channel. Yeah, we will get to the channels. You can still have hanging gates. I have hanging gates. I have gate 12 as a hanging gate. It's actually my Mercury gate too. The hanging gates, if you have a channel, if you're defined and you have a channel, it's less important in the hierarchy of things. It's not going to be something as predominant as your defined channel. It'll come up every now and then, but not as much. Okay. All right. Hanging gates 33 and 45. Yeah. So I have, gate 45 is all about like showing people desire and saying what you want as well. I want this for you, or I want the world. I want that kind of language as well, is really important with gate 45. It says have, or I have too. Gate 33. I mean, gate 33 is, it's kind of like, I remember when, it's like the old man sitting in his rocker going, I remember when back in the day. It's that kind of energy. I remember back when I felt that way, or whatever. 31. So 31 is an interesting one, because you're like, I lead. It's leadership, but being told. Yeah. Storytelling mood. Yeah, totally. Struggling. Okay. So 31 is I lead. So I want you to think of leadership. If you have gate 31, thinking about how you want to lead people through, and like you are the leader. You have to lead yourself first, and then people will follow. Does that make sense? Okay. Struggle with gate 20. It's my unconscious sun. Ooh, unconscious Mars and Chiron. Ooh. 20 is a good one too. It is in the now. It's very much tied to, well, it's either the sacral or do you have this sacral? What was your type? Anna. That's what it was. Okay. Oh, you have the 2010. Okay. And the 2034. Okay. 2010 is about your being yourself, being able to show up fully and freely as yourself. Are you in any way blocking your own self-expression? It could be in art, it could be in dance, like self-expression as a whole unit. If you are not self-expressing yourself and like telling yourself that you can't, that's a problem. And I'm going to explain that in a minute with full channels. Okay, let's go on to full channels. We got lots of people talking about that. Okay, defined defined throat. You have this consistent voice. This is where your channel is coming in. I want you to look at the chart and go, yeah, Sarah, yes. Okay. So you look at your throat center and what channel, where is it connecting to? Is it connecting to your ajna? Is it connecting to the spleen, to the solar plex, to the G center, to the will? Where is that line going? That is your channel. You can have more than one. If you have more than one, they're both kind of competing in some ways for the voice, right? But there'll be one that you feel really comfortable with. And that's going to feel just more natural. So mine is 1648. And did I say that right? No. And so it's enthusiasm, and we're going to get into enthusiasm and mastery of talent. And the thing I want you to remember about channels and defined channels is that if you are not comfortable with the highest expression of your channel and you are blocking it in some way, speaking your truth, speaking and expressing your message is going to feel off. It's going to feel like it's like nails on a chalkboard. I don't want to, right? So it's understanding what channel you have, what are the higher and lower expression of that channel, right? Oh, G center. Yeah, sorry, it's the one right below. Yes, it's the one right below in the center. Thank you, guys. Yeah, you can have 4 channels. You can have a lot. It's again, looking at all of those 4 different channels, what feels natural. Maybe it all does, right? You get to express a lot. There's a lot of big energy coming out of your throat if you have 4 channels. How do you feel about that? Does that feel like you get, do you shut down because you don't want to be big? There's a lot there. Yes, I show up enthusiastically. Oh, I show up no matter what I do. I have to be excited to talk about it. And it generally goes into the mastery. The lower expression of that channel are, that's okay. The lower expression is not trusting that mastery, and perfectionism, wanting things to be perfect. But the higher expression is trusting that I know what I know, just showing up really excited to talk about it. And that is true. Like, it doesn't matter where I show up. It just has to be excited to talk about the thing that I want to talk about. Okay. I don't, you can do spleen. Generally. Looking at the whole channel. If you have the whole channel, look at the whole channel. Like we can look at just the gate, and sometimes that's like a journaling exercise to do, to look at just the gate. But if you have the whole channel, I want you to look at the whole channel and understanding the higher and lower expression. And again, inside the club, we talk about this, and making sure that it's clear that you're not shutting your voice down, because this is how you naturally want to express yourself. Like, I don't have like 35, 36 channel at all. And and that one's a lot about experience and emotions, and talking about life, like life experience, right? I don't really like to talk about that. Doesn't come naturally. It's not something that if I do manage to get something out, it doesn't really land with people. It's not the way I want to express. Okay. All right. Colors in the gates, who cares if the meaning changes at all, or the significance? Meaning conscious versus unconscious, the red and the black. Is that what you're talking about, Cheryl? 4 to 5 gates defined in my throat. So I haven't noticed a big difference. I feel like if you have the channel defined, right, and half of it is conscious, half of it is unconscious, it's the same. It still wants to be expressed. It just maybe isn't something that you would naturally come about. It's going to take a little bit more discernment on your part. Does that make sense? Like, I don't think In my experience, it's just talking about like, what is that energy for you? Okay, I have 4 to 5 gates, 2 full channels. So I should be focusing on, yes, focus on communicating the channels first. Yes. And then going into what some of the other stuff, the hanging gates. Okay. So you have a specific way of expressing yourself. And when you are in that higher expression of that defined channel, that's when your messaging is more magnetic. Like I said, like if I try to tell a story, I struggle. It's not as like versus just me showing them enthusiastically and talking about what I love and what I want to talk about. Maybe there's some story in there, but it's not the general, like the most authentic way. Does that make sense? Okay. You may say things in a blunt way because you're broadcasting, right? So with human design, the open or the white centers are where we take in the energy of others, and the defined or the colored are areas that we are radiating that energy out, right? And so since your throat is defined, you're radiating that energy out. And so sometimes it can be more blunt, more like it's bigger, not in a good or bad way and it's not better or anything like that. It's just, that's the way it is. Does that make sense? What do you mean by focus on the channels versus the gates? Okay. So if you are a defined throat, you have channels. Those are what you want to look at first and understand first. You can still have hanging gates with a defined throat, but they're not as important as the channel. Okay. Storytelling. Yeah, it does. The 1333. Okay. 10, 20, 22, 34. One's in my head. Gonna come through stronger. Yeah, it will. Sometimes when you understand what the lower expression of your defined channel is, it can be a light bulb moment because you don't realize that you're shutting it down. That's what it came for me, is understanding that perfection, and that I was worried about not being good enough. I was worried that what I had to say wasn't what people wanted. And that was actually the lower expression of that channel. So I was shutting my own voice down. Okay. Simone, Simone, you sent me a document. I'm going to have to look at that later, love. Okay. So if it's colored in, that means it's defined. Yes. I speak a lot to people about not forcing things. Yeah. Yeah. We all could not force things a little bit more. And following your strategy and authority is still really important when you're sharing your message, and not just, pushing and burning out. And, we still have to follow strategy and authority above all else. So, okay. Now I did go through each of the different channels. So you can kind of start to get an idea of what your channel. So look at yours again. And there's one more slide because there's a lot of how you can use this in your messaging. So the 6217 is sharing opinions in great detail. Like you're really good about pulling the details in and translating those details into visual patterns, right? Into formulas, into hypotheses. You're really good at that. That's what you need to be talking about. Like if I were to, oh my God, I wouldn't. That is not my zone of genius. Detailed visual pattern. No. Right. But the people that I've met that have this channel are really, really good at it. Okay. 35, 36. This is sharing emotional stories. This is the solar plex, right? About your experiences. It's like, they want to seize the day. Like you're out there going, let's do this amazing experience. Come, inspiring. Like that's how you use that channel. Excuse me. The 4323, that one is outside the box ideas. This one, there's a couple of channels that I've noticed are very prone to being shut down and people going, I'm afraid to actually say that, right? The 43-23, oh, Christina, that means you have very focused energy when you only have 2. Okay. So this channel in outside of the box ideas, I mean, it's the shock channel, right? That's what Ra called it, because you have unique ways of looking at things. So I want to look at this and go, are you afraid of anything? Are you afraid of sharing your outside of the box ideas? Are you ready to share that kind of thing too? Like this is very much strategy and authority. Are you ready to share this idea that you have? 22-12, you are warm and inviting. This is, I love this energy too. This is again, solar plex energy of, it's your tone of voice that's really important. It's captivating to people, and just, it's again, trusting that emotional wave that you have. Anyone, if you have the solar plex defined, I really want you to talk about emotion in some way, shape, or form in your messaging, whether that's helping people through emotions, whether that's your emotional experience, something, because you have this consistent way of understanding emotions that everyone else that is undefined doesn't understand. And you have so much to teach people. The 56-11, your stories are parables. So like, again, this is another one that I'm like, ooh, I can't do it. But it's parables. You're sharing stories, you're reflecting on the past and the future, and that kind of energy, storytelling. The 45-21, another channel that is deeply, deeply conditioned in my experience of people. It's the I want, right? Like my son actually has this channel, and he's always like, I want this. And he's very direct, and he knows what he wants. And he will get it too. Where my daughter gets really pissed off at him about this channel. And I see the people that have this channel, the adults, they were shut down as children, that they shouldn't ask for what they want, that their opinion doesn't matter. That's a lot of this 43-23. My opinion doesn't matter. What I want doesn't matter. That kind of stuff. So really making sure that you're clean in this energy. Okay. All these other channels, more channels. 33-13, collection of stories, secrets, sharing. The time is right. The 37-7, finding people with the greatest influence in leadership. So showing that you understand the needs of the group, really understanding that or showing that you understand your audience. Who are you speaking to? And they'll love you back, right? 8-1, this is just self-expression at its finest. How much can you express yourself? How do you want to do it, right? I have a client that is this right now, and she looked around at all of it. It was very plain and very not her. And I'm like, where's you? And she's like, I don't know. I'm like, we want you. How would you decorate? How would you wear clothes? Like, what colors do you like? Really dive into like what you like and how you want to express. The 20-10, living as yourself in this moment. So this is very big energy too, and allowing yourself to trust the sacral pull of what you want to talk about too, simply by being yourself. The 16-48, honing a skill and the talent, sharing it with enthusiasm. The 20-57, your truth arises in the moment, and it can't be planned. You think on your feet. So very in the moment. People with this channel don't try and plan, don't write notes, don't make slides. They just show up and they're like, channel, right? And then the 20-34, sharing passion, you're exploring at the moment. That sacral response, right? And making sure that there's no should or coulds. Like this is because that should and the could diffuses this channel. What is the sacral pull towards? Yeah. I mean, take it step by step. Like even just looking, Erin, at like what you wear, or how is your house designed? I know people that move into a house and they never paint anything. They never, like hardly hang a picture. Like, what would you actually do? How would you design that space? What color would you put on the wall? Like, start to explore things like that. Yeah, Elaine's done the opposite. Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting how you can have the same channel as someone, but have very like polar opposite experiences with the energy. It's all like depends on the other things in your chart. It depends on how you grow up and what your parents taught you and what you absorbed into as a kid, right? It all shows up so differently. I think someone asked about going back. Yes, you can use those phrases and the hanging gaze. You can, yes. I don't want you to get hung up. Oops, wrong way. I don't want you getting hung up on saying I have to say I think all the time. I don't want you getting hung up on that. I just want you to start thinking like look, you can Google gate 62 and start to get an idea of some of the other energy of this. Like this is just a tiny piece of this energy, right? There's a whole, I mean, I have a book that's like a page long for each gate. So looking into, if you have gate 62, Google it or look at whatever resources you have on gate 62. What is it saying? How can you use that energy more in your content, in your sales pages, in the way you express yourself? Okay. It is funner. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So then the last piece of this, holy man, we're at the 2 hour mark. Or hour mark, sorry. It's 2:00. Okay. So Mercury Gate. Mercury Gate is another one that I feel like people get really overwhelmed and confused by. And it's honestly, it's about showing up and being the energy of your Mercury Gate more so than trying to find the words to put into your messaging. Okay. It's more about who you're being and the energy behind. So I actually equate it to more of your mission in your messaging than what you're actually saying. Okay. And I'm not going to go through all 64 gates with Mercury because that's a lot. You can Google what you have. We can, don't quiz me on it because I have an open head, open ajna. I'm not going to know. I'm going to have to look it up. But look, we're going to talk a little bit and show some examples of what you can do with your Mercury and how it translates to your mission. So my Mercury gate first is gate 12 on my conscious side. That's the black side. You can look at the red side too, and sometimes that will feel like it resonates more. Again, everything with human design, you want to filter through your own understanding, filter through your own intuition of what resonates, what feels right for me. Gate 12 is mine, and it's using words. It's all about wordsmithery, but it has to be, you have to be ready to talk about it. And I 100% noticed this in my own ability to articulate that if I'm not ready to talk about something, it's like there's a cat in my throat or something, a hairball. Like I can't talk about it. I have to wait. And maybe I just have to wait a few days and then I have whatever was missing and now I can talk about it. A lot of times it goes back to the mastery channel that I have that I need to learn more in that mastery and really understand something on a deeper level. But I always have something I can talk about. There's always something that's like, oh, I want to talk about this. And then I can talk about it, right? And using words and understanding the energy behind my words and trusting the words that are coming out of my mouth. Okay. Okay. Couple more questions. Cool. Oh, nice. The red side design resonates a lot more. Then go with that. I am not here to tell you that it has to be one way or the other. You can look at both. You can look at one side or the other side. It really doesn't matter. Honestly, all human design is a tool to help you understand how you want to be or what is authentic to you. And if the other thing I've learned through this, I mean, I've known human design for 8 years now. Something that didn't resonate with me 3 or 4 years ago now does, because I've learned, grown, and deconditioned. And now I'm like, oh, that totally is me. I didn't realize that before. So it could also be that you're like, even just not ready yet. And that's okay too. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no good or bad. Highly sensitive nurturing. I feel I do both. Yeah, I think you do, Annalena, for sure. Okay. So we go to example 1. So if we look at, we're creating a mission statement, right? Christy is manifesting generator. She combines human design, energetics, mindset, helping mothers, becoming their best selves, raising kids who are strong and confident. She has Mercury gate 19 and 9. 19 is about emotional needs of others and how to bring people back into emotional alignment. Gate 9 is about keeping the big vision alive in daily tasks. So her mission is to connect how emotional well-being of the mother, right? She wants to work with mothers, helps everyone in the house thrive, reach big goals, and feel good every single day. So it's like taking the essence of what this each gate is, one gate or both gates, and applying that to what you want to do. So now she knows that her mission is really to support mothers. How can she create offers around that really help them thrive, help them reach goals, make every day feel good and thrive? It's the mission behind the business. And this, I think it was when I was a photographer. So I had a photography business 20 years ago, and everyone was always talking about, what's your mission as a photographer? And I was like, I don't know, take pictures. Never understood how to come up with a mission until I understood Mercury gate, like years and years later. Like, now I get it. It actually had nothing, like, that's probably why I left photography, is because it really didn't serve my mission. It didn't serve my mission of helping people understand words and communicating. And so does that make sense? All right. Example number 2. Christina is a mental projector. She's guiding women to return to their own preciousness, is what she called it, through a system of body-mind connection, self-care, and reclaiming joy. Her Mercury gate is 27, 19, and 19. 27 is uplifting and nurturing others. Gate 19 is about sensing the energy of a person and how they can bring themselves back into alignment. So we mesh these together, and you show women how to deeply care for themselves through deep, heartfelt, authentic vulnerability. She's teaching people how to be vulnerable and be safe in that vulnerability. Through the deep connection, she's able to guide them to alignment with her energy. That's her deep mission. Okay. Does that make sense? Again, in the club, we go all into this. When you say her Mercury gate, yes, one is conscious, one is unconscious. And 27 was her conscious, I believe, and 19 was her unconscious. Again, you don't have to take both. You can take the one that you resonate with. If you resonate with both, great. But the one that you're like, I am in that higher expression. I am, that feels right to me. That feels like what I want to communicate to people. That feels like what I want to help people with. Oh, thanks, Annalena. Yeah. Okay. Then, pulling it all together. So I want to just kind of leave this today with understanding that your aura type is that core message, right? It's what you're going to be known for. And we add the flavor of your throat activations, how you want to naturally talk about things. And then we set our intentions and our mission with our Mercury gate. Okay. And that's like the large chunk of what your authentic message is. Sure, there's more nuances. Sure, we can like talk about what does that translate to your business, because now the next piece is pulling in what you do. But this is how you kind of understand and unpack your human design chart and your most magnetic message. Okay. Cool. And of course, I'm going to talk about the club. So if you're interested in learning, okay, you know this information, how do you apply it to your business? That's what we're doing in the messaging club. And it's uncovering even more so what your magnetic message is. It's your human design, who you want to work with, how you want to work, your experiences, all of those things. It's for coaches, course creators, online service people who know that they haven't found this unique message yet. There's something off. There's something missing. And they know that human design can help them align to it and articulate their magic and attract their ideal clients. But I'm not done yet. Crosby, go out of my office, please. I love you. Go. Yes, you will have access to the replay, Cheryl. Yes, go. Inside the club, there's content you watch on your own and it explains all of these things. Then you come into the group for the live support. So you have all of the templates and tutorials and the content that really explains things even deeper. And in the Facebook group, there's live support. I have office hours, which I do adjust to different time zones. It's not just this 1 o'clock time. And I give you looms back to your questions. It's deep level of support inside that Facebook group, as well as audits on your writing every month. Like we do a deep dive audit and I will look at your human design and I will look at what your sales page is or your website, or we can do your unique selling point and figure out how to mesh these together if you're stuck and need someone else's eyes on this and not quite clicking it yet. Okay. And right now there's a bonus. If you decide to join the club by the end of the week on Friday, I will give you a human design reading, as well as like bringing in like your biggest question. So if your biggest question is, I'm stuck. Yes. If your biggest question is like, I don't know what my unique selling point is. Cool. You're going to fill out a form and give me your human design chart. And I'm going to help you figure out what your unique selling point is, along with obviously being in the membership. There's 2 options for the membership. The main membership is everything that I explained before, that it's content, it's the live support, it's the monthly audits. It's $222 a month. And then the VIP is if you want to move fast. If you're like, I'm done dealing with messaging bullshit and I want my message to be on lock. I'm ready to understand this finally and really have a message that feels like me, that is making an impact, that is attracting clients, that is moving my business forward. Messaging is not something that should be holding your business back. That's inside the Voxer chat. So we're going to go into even more mindset, energetics, that kind of stuff, along with all the other tangible messaging support. And I would like you to commit to 4 months. It is a month-to-month, stay as long as you want, but I'm seeing results with 4-month commitments, that people are coming in, doing the work and getting the feedback. It takes time for you to not only figure out what this message is, but then implement it into your message, into your sales pages and websites and all of those things. Like it does take a little bit of time. And I want you people to come in with that commitment upfront. Does that make sense? Cool. Okay. Questions on the content today, questions on the membership, all of it. Bring them to me. Ooh. No questions? Great. Cool. Oh, when I'm typing. Okay. Yes, I will let you in. No problem. I was letting people in the whole time. So I'm setting it up. So absolutely come when you can come. Oh, good, Christine. I'm so glad. Okay. So Brenda, not niching for the MG. You don't have to niche that repeatable process or your core message, right? But it is still it's like the manifester. This big piece over here doesn't have to be niched, but your offers still do. Does that make sense? So what I bring together, human design and messaging, I don't niche that per se, but my offers are niche to specific people. Okay. Oh, yay. Perfect. Oh, this is so great. Okay. When a monthly call in the club. Yes. So there's actually, well, there's the monthly audit that is a Zoom call, and that's once a month. Then the office hours are the other like half week. So it's every 2 weeks you get something, right? The office hours, there's 2 office hours that day. So it's morning my time and evening my time. So I'm hitting as many time zones as I can. And that is a time to just come bring your questions, bring your things that you need to ideate or work through, funnel stuff. Like we go into all of it. So, okay. And then, ooh, sorry. And missed the first part of USP. So is that universal by type? I'm an MG. So use my combine things. Yes. So Anna, yes, you're combining things. What do you bring together to help people skip steps and get to someplace faster? That's your unique selling point. Like I'm an MG, I'm blending human design and copywriting. Talk about my system of projector and how it connects to the Mercury Gate and mission. So your system is, so if you think about what you're known for, it's the way that you solve the problem. So if your ideal client's over here on one side of a canyon in their problem, and they want the solution that's on the other side of the canyon, your system is the bridge across, right? It's what makes you unique. It sets you apart from everyone else. They don't necessarily need to know a ton about the system itself until they're in it, right? When you're selling it, you're talking about this is why it's different. This is why it matters. And this is the piece that they've been missing. But you don't have to get into the nitty-gritty parts of the system until they're in your program. Okay. Does that make sense? And then how do we get to the mission? Your mission, I mean, honestly, your mission is for you. So it's the thing that you check back to when you're creating offers, when you're creating your funnel. Like, is this serving my mission? Is it serving my clients? So helpful. Yay. I'm so glad. New Zealand. Yes. I am trying to hit all those time zones, and it's hard, man. Cause I think with New Zealand, Australia too, the best is like dinner time, my time. So I'm trying to have one that is morning, my time, as well as evening, so that it's not the middle of the night or 6 a.m. for you. Struggling as a manifestor to have a big vision, but not feeling like I'm a creative person. Interesting. Okay. Also struggling with niching and saying how it is I want to help people in health and wellness. I can see why you're struggling with niching. It is hard to niche as a manifestor. Your thing I want you to think about is like, what do you see is missing in the health and wellness space? What are people doing that you're like, no, this isn't the way it needs to be done. We need to do it this way. Really thinking about how other people are doing it, how you maybe have done it yourself, maybe not, but you see a different way of approaching health and wellness. Apologies, I thought you asked posts or charts. Oh, that's okay. No worries. I think I just asked for your type. No worries. You're all good. Slides from today. Oh, yeah, I'll figure out how to do that. No problem. So important. Yay, you're welcome, Cheryl. Got it. Netherlands over here. So yeah, in the bed. Yeah, exactly. So I know 1 o'clock is the time that I prefer with our homeschooling schedule, but I know that with all the other time zones, a couple of times a month, I adjust things and show up in the mornings or show up in the evenings to make sure that everybody can get what they need. Yes, exactly. A beta. Yes, it's the community that you're bringing things or bringing people to. And it's really looking at like, what change do you want to bring to the world? You can sense what people need and sense what they need to adjust. So creating that community around that. The table versus help me understand today. Good. There are multiple legs needed. Yep. Oh, Sarah, good. Yay. I'm so glad we could clear that up. Yeah. Yes, exactly. You need all those different legs under the table to have that stable table, but you can do it in multiple different ways, right? Like it's not a 1 step, 2 step, 3 step. Okay. Thank you. Awesome. Fantastic, you guys. Thank you so much. Exploration so brings that freedom back. Yes. Yes. Oh, Sarah. Fantastic. Okay, I will be sending out the replay and the slides. And thank you so much, Annalena, for coming. This has been absolutely fantastic. And I'll see you guys all tomorrow. And hopefully we'll get it in under an hour. Today was a lot of information. It was a lot. Tomorrow and Friday are a little bit less. So hopefully we'll be under an hour. But thank you so much, you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.